Welcome to the Ycast, everyone. I'm your host Malachi, and we're here this week to talk about Dragon Ball Z League Season 9, Week 10. Joining me today are my co-hosts.
You will.
Geo.
All right, let's go ahead and get started with divisional standings. We are two-thirds of the way through the season, so we're just going to do a quick review of everyone's win-loss record before jumping into the thing, jumping into the specifics of this past week. So, um, Earth Defenders are starting with North Kai. Earth Defenders are top of their division and top of the league at 9 wins and 1 loss, followed by Valkyries at 6 wins and 4 losses, Rugrats at 5 and 5, and Saiyans at the bottom with 4 and 6. And I'm going to go ahead and do the rest, and then we'll talk about each of these divisions. East Kai, we have Majins at 6 and 4, Namek at 4 and 6, Derp at 3 and 7, Ginyu at 1 and 9, and the bottom of the league as a whole. West Kai has Androids at 7 and 3, Cold at 6 and 4, Dragon Ball Warriors at 5 and 5, and Gohans at 3 and 7. And South Kai has Blades at 7 and 3, Booze at 5 and 5, Afterlife at 5 and 5, and Muscle at 4 and 6. So, starting from the top with North Kai, what are y'all's impressions of, who do y'all think is going to get the bye week? Looking at the Saiyans, do you have any, advice for them? I'm just going to open the floor for y'all.
Yeah, when it comes to the Sands, I advise them to bring Raditz back in, bench Bardock on the free agent bench, and give up.
Wow.
No, I'm joking. I'm the Sands. I'm messing around. I think it's going to be Earth Defenders. They get 2 more wins. The only team that could potentially take them out is Valkyries, and they need to win the divisional in that situation.
They already lost the division.
They already lost. Okay, so if Earth Defenders win 2 more times, they're locked, and that's likely to happen with 5 weeks left.
Yeah.
That being said, with our own team, Scouter. That's all I can say. I don't know.
Now here's a question: how many of your divisionals do you have left?
2.
So one's against.
We lost to Rugrats already,
Mm-hmm.
so it's the other 2. Which means we need to win twice in Rugrats and need to lose twice for us to get ahead of them.
Oh, that's certainly possible.
Yeah, it's a uphill battle.
I mean, it's an uphill battle, but I mean, with 2 of those being divisionals, I mean, I think y'all still have a good shot at getting in. I mean, a lot's really probably going to come down to how effective Gotenks is for Rugrats, and if that starts blowing up in their face, I think you could quickly overtake them.
Maybe. I
don't know. I think Rugrats has just been an overall stronger team consistency-wise lately. I mean, the one problem child they've been having with Cell Jr. seems like they got him fixed. So, overall, just Rugrats are seeming like a more stronger and consistent team. So, I'm going to say I don't see Sans making it. I mean, if Sans make it, I don't think it's going to be Rugrats that end up getting kicked out. I'd say it's Vals that could potentially get kicked out because they still have holes in their team. Fidel's not doing too great. There's a couple other members that are sometimes hit or miss. So, if there's anybody that Sans can pass up, I'd say it's Vals over Rugrats right now.
That's. I'd still say Rugrats are easier. That's because there's 1 loss less needed.
Yeah.
But because we still have a divisional open to fight Vals, if we win that, it'll make a huge difference. But that's. I think the last week we faced them.
It is. You have your last 2 divisionals are week 14 and 15.
Yeah. So they need to lose twice. While we win twice before then, and then we have to at least keep even.
Yep.
I believe you guys.
I think y'all can do it. I mean,
I'm the Scouter, in my opinion. That's all it depends on.
Yeah, if you can get a working Scouter, then you'll have it. But you're not the only team that just needs to get 1 working member, and you'll be okay.
Yeah.
Let me restate that. We need Scouter in order to be a competitive team. Because even with Scouter, I don't think we're like one of the top teams in the league.
No.
Yeah. I mean, good luck to you. I I think it's certainly possible for you to replace either Rugrats or Vowels at this point, for different reasons. As I think Gotenks is not necessarily the most reliable of plays, and as you will point out, Vowels do have some holes in their team, and even though the Demon Child is still the Demon Child, some weeks, I mean, on the whole, she still feels weaker than she has been.
She needs some sits. She only has one sit so far.
Yeah, and there's 2 more weeks where they got to sit her. So, yeah. So, y'all got any closing comments?
No, it's just a competitive division aside from Earth Defenders.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed.
With a gluttony of wins.
So let's move on to probably one of the more difficult Kais to talk about, or probably the easiest Kai to talk about in some ways, where you have Majins at 6-4 and Ginyu at 1-9. With the
lowest leading team and the lowest out. Ginyu's out of the playoffs essentially. They can technically pass up Derp, but yeah.
So Majins are 6-4, and Ginyu is 1-9. Correct. There's only 5 weeks left, and Majins won the divisional, so Majins have a guaranteed spot in the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they're probably one of the few teams in the whole entire league to have a guaranteed spot in the playoffs.
At this point, I think you're right. I know my team is 1 week away, depending on how it goes.
Mm-hmm. There's a few teams that are 1 week away.
Yeah. I have to kind of echo your sentiments, GM. I think Ginyu needs to focus more on getting their team working. It's not to say wins aren't important. I mean, wins are great, but I think you're at a point. I think it's just you're at a point where the focus needs to be on getting Jace, Birder, and Raccoon working.
Yeah.
Especially Jace and Birder, who are your historically top tier players that just aren't there.
Yeah. And you get more Zenny for next season. The more you lose,
you do.
Pick up that Gogeta, have consistent characters, and bring it all back.
Pick up that Gogeta. Pick up that Shenron.
Or be Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. Or
Nova Shenron.
Yeah.
Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta.
The best free agents.
Yeah. Majins, they're doing good. I mean, it's still, as we're saying, it looks like they're pretty set. So, I mean, who knows? Maybe the last few weeks we'll be seeing some experimental stuff from them, trying to patch up their.
Are about where I expected them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, just in terms of relative to the entire league, they're just above the average tier.
Mm-hmm.
So they're doing well. I think we might see some. Hopefully, we'll see some experimental stuff from them to try and improve the team. That might be a little unexpected. Who knows? But they should definitely take into consideration that it looks like they've got that playoff spot locked down, and just go ham and start testing.
Mm-hmm. Depends how much they value the bye week, but
yeah.
I think they won. I know they beat Namek in their divisional, and they face Ginyu this week. And when's their other divisional?
They're pretty safe. If they win once more and Namek loses one more, I think it'd be okay to go into.
Oh no! This week is Majin's last divisional. They beat Derp, they beat Namek, and they're facing Ginyu this week. So,
Yep.
I mean, that being said, this is probably the least competitive division.
Yeah,
probably. So let's go ahead and move on to West Kai.
Look at that! A surprise! The one team in West Kai that had a 9-6 record last season is the top of West Kai this season. Who would have thought it?
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that part of things.
What? Don't you love mentioning
that? It seems like you're just in the wrong Kai. That you should just be 1-up or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if we were to end the league right now, we'd be back in North Kai. But yeah, we're at 7-3, and Gohans are the mirror at 3-7.
Oh man, then they have a bad fall.
They have. So, but it's not quite as bad as you might think for Gohan. Gohan still have a real shot at getting in because two of the remaining matches are divisionals. And
one of them against you guys?
They just lost the one against us.
Okay, all right.
We are.
You don't remember?
So we.
You don't remember the last match? So versus Gohan's?
I've got short-term memory loss. Okay.
We're gonna talk about that later. Don't you worry. I mean, they just lost to us last week. We're 1 win away, and they're 1 loss. So if we get 1 more win or they get 1 more loss, we're basically guaranteed in. Gohan's definitely have an uphill fight, but what really is working in their favor at the moment is the fact that 2 of these last matches are divisionals, and I believe Cold and DB Warriors also both have their other divisionals. They're divisional against each other coming up too. So we could still potentially see. So that could just throw a monkey wrench in everything.
Yeah, that means one of them is guaranteed at least 1 more loss.
Yep.
Which is always a fun thing to witness.
I could still see Cold taking the bye week from you. Were they only one loss down from you?
They're 1 loss down from us, and they have the tiebreaker.
Yeah.
So we're still gunning for wins.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this is maybe the most competitive. This is probably the most competitive because someone can still steal the bye week fairly easily. It isn't a guaranteed knockout for Gohan's. That can still swing just because how divisionals are working. Yep. I'd say this is the most competitive.
You're probably right with that assessment. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if we come back at week 15 and Dragon Ball Warriors were knocked out.
Yeah,
or Cold was knocked out.
Yeah, you guys could still technically be not knocked out, but you could be under both Dragon Ball Warriors and Cold.
Technically, yes. That could still happen. I mean, honestly, at this point, like once we're locked in, I intend to start putting a few of our problem children under the microscope and really buffing them up and seeing if we can make them work again. 17. Don't know. Yeah.
Number 17 is just it's an unlucky number.
Apparently.
It's not working.
Yeah. But that's for discussion another time.
Yeah.
I want to talk about happier things, like how my team is one win away from being guaranteed a playoff spot.
Yeah, like your team was 1 win away from being in North Kai last season.
Ooh. Ooh.
Sorry, I can't let him be happy. It's not fun if he's happy.
Where did I put that picture, GM?
No.
Because I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it on air.
Okay, you go find it. We'll talk about South Kai. In South Kai, we have Blades at 7-3, Booze at 5-5, Afterlife tied with them at 5-5, and Muscle right behind them at 4-6. So this, on the bottom end, is really competitive.
Yeah.
You knew that was coming.
I figured.
But this is another division. South Kai is also really close.
Mm-hmm.
On paper, not taking into account anything with not taking divisionals into account. I mean, this is about as competitive as West Kai.
Yeah. I could see any. I
think the one difference is because Blades have Blades and Booze fought already.
No.
Okay, so there's one difference, and what have Afterlife and Blades?
Yes,
Blades won that.
Yeah, Blades won that.
Yep.
Yeah, so there's the difference. They are 2 wins ahead of the people behind, and one of them they have the tiebreaker against already. Yep. So they're more solidified than West Guys.
This is true.
The interesting thing is when it comes to not making it to playoff, Muscle hasn't done any of their playoffs yet. I mean, their divisionals yet. None.
Yeah, so things can change. Those bottom 3 in specific can change drastically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, if Blades all of a sudden, if Janemba decides that he's going to go on vacation for the next 5 weeks.
Yeah, then they could easily lose the top spot to Booze.
They could easily lose the top spot to Booze or even to Muscle.
Yeah, they could.
In theory. I mean, now that is
improbable.
Conspiracy, extremely improbable. Talking about conspiracy theory levels of improbable. but it's still within the realm of possibility. And in some respects, that's what makes this league fun. Is you look at it week 10, let's come back at week 15 and look at what the actual results were, and let's compare and contrast. I mean, I think everyone in this division should still be gunning for a playoff spot, because I think that even Muscle, I mean, they're slowly improving. They brought Bojack in. We'll talk about that later. Who, although I'm not convinced he's perfect, he's going to be great.
I think he's an upgrade.
I think he's at least a little bit better than Sin, at least.
Yeah, he's looking at least better than Sin, and I mean, they're definitely taking steps to improve their team and make it playoff worthy.
Like, straight up, if I would say one team that won't make it in South Kai that won't make it, I'm gonna say Afterlife. They have some holes. Like, it's like, yeah, they got a pretty good Vegeta, pretty good Python, but it's like Chaozu just meh. Zarbon was clearly not good. Nappa didn't look too hot. Saiyaman's not good. So Afterlife has a lot more holes than Muscle does right now.
We'll talk about it more when we get to his first appearance in a while. But just suffice to say, I'm not going to blame Nappa for all that much this week.
No.
Just because he fought a Rayleigh.
Yeah.
I don't blame Nappa. Fuck Nappa.
Dang.
Can't imagine why you would have some antipathy towards him.
Mind you, I love Nappa season 6, but fuck Nappa.
All right. Any final comments, guys?
Boos are finally not at the bottom. Yay!
So let's review the win-loss record. So moving on from divisionals, let's talk about what happened this past week. I'll give us a quick rundown of the win-loss record, and then we'll make some comments. So first match was Eevee versus Muscle, with Earth Defenders taking the win. Match 2 was Blades versus Namek. Namek took the win. Match 3 was the sole divisional of the week, with Gohans versus Cell, and Androids took the win. Match 4 was Cold versus Booze, and Booze took a win. Yay, Booze. Good job. Thank you. Match 5 was Derp versus Rugrats. Rugrats took a win. Match 6 was Valves versus Afterlife. Valves won. Match 7 was Majins versus Saiyan. And then Majins won. Match 8 was Dragon Ball Warriors versus Ginyu, and Dragon Ball Warriors won. So, Jim, I think I heard you say something.
I said match 7 didn't happen. It was. I'm pretty sure we went match 1, match 2, match 3, match 4, match 5, match 6, and match 8. So we must have forgotten.
But Bardock threw ults.
No.
He did.
That never happened. Nothing happened.
So, all right. So let's talk about the divisional of the week: Gohans versus Androids.
Gohan versus Cell.
Let's rename it to be a little more accurate: Gohans versus Cell.
Ultimate Gohan versus Cell.
Yeah, I mean, Ultimate Gohan did 70K. But there was an interesting thing. So this is where we get into some interesting things with healing. Zero did 50K this week.
Yeah.
But all he did was clean up Ultimate Gohan.
All he did was clean up Ultimate Gohan and about 1K to Adult Gohan.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happens when you don't have damage output versus a tank.
Yep.
And then 17 was garbage.
He got his butt smacked.
The funny thing is this was basically the same build with a Ki plus 1 that he used to wipe the floor with Maju.
Yep.
Bad luck 17. Bad luck.
All I'm going to say is there's a reason why 17's on a new age.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say. And then 16, he almost did his 40K. I can't really blame him too much. Because the fun thing about this match was everyone on the Gohans had at least a +3 in something. Defense +3, Ki +3. Yes, Jim?
I was just saying,
Yeah, I don't know why it went so out against you guys when it seems like they just want to make that playoff spot and go all out against Dragon Ball Warriors. But hey, spent a lot of money.
They're trying to get those divisional wins, and their Angel specifically said he wanted me to have the trifecta of divisional losses. But yeah, it was like Adult Gohan had Ki +3, Teen had Super +3, and Future Gohan had Attack +3. So Let me put this in perspective about Future Gohan's attack plus 3. He did 12k damage.
So what, like
10k of, no, 10k of that was a B2.
Yeah.
Oh.
So he got like one punch off. That's it.
So the rest of that 2k was melee. And then Cell, for those, he almost won a lead. I can't complain.
Did you do the math over and over again? You're like, please give him that elite. Maybe I punched the number in wrong.
We're not going to talk about how many times I reviewed the numbers for when I was doing stats.
Yeah, I did the same thing for Jane the previous week, and I was quick. So went Cell down to 2, and then he went back up to 1 in 1 week.
So, but for those who are in our Discord week to week, they'll know that one of our members, whatever his name of the week is at the moment, has some very fond words for Cell. You know, usually saying he's trash. We'll trade him for Goldo. This particular member, and I quote, said, "Damn, Cell was pretty decent this week."
Hello? What do you mean decent? He also won a league.
2018.
What does he have to do? Sweep an entire team Nova style to actually get a good job from him?
Yes, that is exactly what he thinks. Now granted, he does some of this for show and just to, you know,
So
poke your buttons.
being the optimum word there.
Yeah, he does that just for the button pushing. But it was so out of character for him that our dear mods have pinned it to our Discord chat, and it's so beautiful. And I'm so proud of our team member for growing up and maturing and showing Cell the respect he deserves.
I just want to mention this, only because it'll be like a damp towel on everything. You still didn't get an elite.
Nope.
Regardless of how close you got, you still haven't gotten an elite.
I have not gotten an elite in a regular season match, I admit.
Yeah. So as much as I hate the fact that you have such a powerful character, that makes me happy. Let's move on.
Yeah, so let's move. I have had my moment of spotlight for my team to display my happiness that even though we didn't quite get an elite, Cell had an outstanding performance.
He won that match for you. You were in a precarious position before he showed up.
We were almost a person behind, and Cell brought it back, and I have no complaints. He did fantastic, and I hope he does it again to Afterlife this week.
I do too.
All right, let's
moving on. So let's talk about the free agents who stepped on the field for the first time this week. First was Bojack, who was in the fight against Earth Defenders, and he did 60k damage. Would you like to start us off?
He did fine, but I would take his victory or his good performance with a grain of salt. In my opinion, right now, Tien is their weakest member. You know, they even went as far as to changing his build, and he's still not fantastic for a spammer. He thought maybe like 1 or 2 B2s. So, I'll take that with a grain of salt.
Hold on a second there, buddy. He landed with 2 trap shooters. That's 2 people who died because of him. Clearly, he is their most valuable player. But no, he actually did pretty well. He threw out 3 B2s, 2 of them were trap shooters, and 1 ultimate, which hit. So,
Yeah.
That's good for what he's built.
Yeah. I definitely wouldn't say like, oh, yep, he's so good. He's a 60k character confirmed.
No, he's probably like 45k. He's probably 45k.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna echo the same sentiment. I like what I'm seeing from Bojack. If Muscle knew about this beforehand, I don't know why they didn't bring him in earlier. But I mean, maybe they thought Zen was better. I don't know.
Maybe they just thought about the weak trap shooters, and maybe they wanted a meleeer more than
It's possible, and it could have been a Fatara thing, and they finally just got to the point of saying, "Look, we'll make it work."
I'm gonna assume the off season gave them the opposite impression. The off season, preseason probably told them, "Nah, Bojack, no good."
Mm-hmm.
That's certainly possible as well. But yeah, take Bojack's performance with a grain of salt. Hopefully he works out for y'all and improves your team. I really hope so.
I don't.
Sure.
I can't imagine why you would be so negative on this, Jubal. But yeah, So let's go ahead and move on to early Piccolo, who was in against Blades. Have the Isekai stats come in yet, guys? Do y'all know?
66k for early Piccolo, and he definitely overachieved. Now he did well, but that one ultimate he hit
like 20k.
Was a bit over what he'll usually do with his ultimate, because he had all out on, and it looked stronger than it was because it also had a smash attack behind it.
Yep.
He wasn't bad. Like he was aggressive. I think he was winning in melee more than he should have.
Mm-hmm.
Just because he was fighting Trunks, right?
He fought Yajirobe.
Yeah, he mostly fought Yajirobe.
Yeah, Trunks fought late.
Okay. Yeah, still.
He also fought against Super 17 for a good majority of Super 17 fight too. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he took a bar and a half off Super 17.
He took a bar off, I believe. Yeah.
He took out the majority. Tambourine only came in and did like the last hit, so he did like 30k to Super 17.
I think you're right.
Okay. Well, either way, I still believe he overachieved. I just got the feeling like the way he was throwing out B2s was, most of them missed. He threw out 3, only 1 hit. I don't think that's going to translate into more 60k wins.
No.
And I think his melee was being overly efficient. What AI is he on? It felt like TNAI from what I saw.
Let me take a look. He was on TNAI.
There we go. Yeah, so I think his melee was being a little bit over efficient against any actual melee AI like Majin Buu AI or a Trunks AI that works. I put my money on those melee fighters.
That's fair. I don't know the Blades well enough to say. I mean, the sense I'm getting from you two is very similar to BoJack, where you're fighting characters on the Blades that aren't the best, and so we're just getting we're just seeing what he'll look like against people who aren't good, basically.
Super 17, even to the Blades, they don't consider that great, and I'll agree with them. And Yajirobe, while they might argue, I think is arguably their worst fighter.
I'd say Trunks is their worst fighter.
Trunks is their most inconsistent fighter. He's still he's won them matches before.
Yep,
true.
So, all right. So let's talk about the last one of these free agents who made their appearance this week.
Not much to talk about.
Not much to talk about because Nappa got his ass kicked by Aurelie.
Oh yeah. He lost like half of his health before he even realized he was on the field.
I mean, I can't even blame him because it's just a horrible matchup.
Horrible, terrible.
It is the worst matchup.
Mm-hmm.
Came out there with save. That's one of the nice things about Nappa. He has max power body, and he had to face Aurelie.
Yep.
Who breaks it?
Yep. Yeah. And his melee is also really shitty, and Aurelie's has a tendency to overpower other people's.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like this. Oh.
Did you get PTSD from watching Nappa get his butt kicked like that?
Well, it was. No, I didn't get PTSD because, again, I never minded Nappa when I had him on my team, but it's just so sad. He didn't even throw out a B2, and he was a defense spam build. Mm-hmm. It's like it's just so sad to see this character never working.
Yeah,
it's been 3 seasons now where no one's wanted to try him because every time they have, he just hasn't worked.
Indeed. So
yeah, I mean the idea is he comes out with Savior, tosses an Ult or Blazing Storm, does damage. None of that happens when you have to deal with an android that just destroys your power body and is going to beat you in melee when you're already horrible in melee.
Yeah, I mean I just don't see how. I mean, I'll just give Nappa props. He did 15k when he was mostly facing Aurelie. I mean, when Aurelie is on her Demon Child week, I mean, that's doing good. So
Well, let me just put it this way, because it can sound like we're giving him a pass for it being Aurelie. The fact that he can get hard countered so badly by certain characters is a problem.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah, that itself is a problem. If you have to give him an excuse of saying, "Oh yeah, but he can't handle this character," well, that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So, well, we'll see how he does in the coming weeks. Hopefully, better.
They already changed his build.
Yeah, I talked to Havoc about that earlier, but anyway, hopefully it doesn't work out for them this week. Because let's talk about predictions, and let's talk about why I don't want it to work this week. Match number 1: Afterlife versus Androids. Yubel?
Please, Androids win. I definitely think they win.
I'll say Androids also, yeah.
Yep. I'll just put a note out that we are testing a couple things, but I still think we got it. I hope we do. So, all of us for Androids.
Hopefully you didn't break Cell by changing his blue.
Yeah, I strongly doubt that. So, moving on. Blades versus Valves. Yubel?
Valves.
Jim?
Blades. Fuck the Valves. I need them to lose.
So, needless to say, we have some divisional rivalries showing their head here.
No!
I'm going to give it to Blades at the moment, just because when we were looking at who was benching who, I think that on the whole, Blades just have the better team in this week.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. Moving on, Booze versus DB Warriors. GM, we'll start with you. Jubal, you'll be last.
Okay.
I'll give it to the Booze.
And I will do the same as well for divisional reasons. Has nothing to do with the fact that Dragon Ball Warriors are in my division.
Are you insinuating that we are biased?
I cannot confirm nor deny this.
I'm not biased at all. I'm just going to say Booze. They're the more consistent team, and besides Kid Buu, but Dragon Ball Warriors are on the struggling end as well. But I'm gonna say Booze. They're just a stronger team right now.
All right. Moving on. Ginyu versus Majins.
Let's just make this quick. Majins.
Majins. Just rip off the Band-Aid. I'm sorry.
Yep. Majins.
Ginyu's gonna go into testing mode anyway.
Yep. Subtext is Ginyu, we want you to win, but we got to go for Majins. Next match: ED versus Derp. Yubel.
ED's gonna win, but I want Derp to win. I want Derp. I'm gonna say Derp.
Everyone wants Derp to win, but they're even on my division, but I have to say ED, logically speaking.
Yeah.
That's how insane that is.
When has logic ever stopped me from voting against a team in my division, GM?
Yes, but that's the point. I've always voted against my division, even when it's illogical. Except for ED. This is like the third time I've
ED just keep racking up them wins and get that nerf. All right.
Yeah. I'm gonna vote for ED as well. They're just the better choice in this case. I hope Mid Vegeta's week on the bench does break him horribly for week 12. If you want to know why, go look at their schedule. But moving on, Rugrats versus Cold. Yubel?
I'm gonna say Rugrats.
Okay, Cold or Jim?
I want to preface this with I'm not biased. Cold.
I'll call you on that, and I will say Rugrats. So for entirely non-division related reasons.
I'm picking Cold to win because I think Go thinks is unreliable. It has nothing to do with that they're in my division.
I'm gonna pick Cold because they sat out King Cold, who's one of their best. And while the remaining of Rugrats isn't bad.
You mean you're picking Rugrats because Cold set out their best?
I said that backwards.
You said you thought Cold would win.
Oh, oops, no. I think Rugrats are going to win because Cold set out their best, and Rugrats are looking pretty consistent right now.
Rugrats, please win. I really want 2 wins between me and Cold.
No, you don't.
He needs 2 wins between him and Cold.
All right, moving on, guys. Namek versus Gohans. Yubel?
I'm going to say Namek because they're more consistent.
GM?
I'm going to say Gohans because I forgot the Gohans.
I'm gonna say Namek because I want Gohans to lose, and if they lose, I have a guaranteed playoff spot.
Or if you win, and when you win against Afterlife, when you win against Afterlife, then you won't have to worry. See, so win against Afterlife.
But, I want them to lose anyway because then it's guaranteed, even if I lose. All right, last match: Saiyans versus Muscle. Yubel?
I think Sans can do it. I hope Sans do it. No divisional reasons or anything. I like Sans. They're my second favorite team. There, that's the reason why.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say Saiyans for much the same reason. I'm not yet convinced by Bojack. We'll see what happens this week. And on the whole, I just feel like even though the Saiyans have some weak points, Muscle is just a little bit weaker with their weak points.
And they sat out their best player, too.
Indeed.
Screw you guys, I'm picking Muscle.
I'm not saying the previous coach of Sans says Muscle.
No, but this is the weirdest unanimous because I think this is also a very tight match.
Indeed, it will be.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, obviously my team.
All right, guys. So, any closing remarks that you would like to say?
No. Kid Boo, please work, please. I'll give you $1 if you work, Kid Boo.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us on the YCast. We'll see you next week when we cover Week 11. Later.
Bye.
Bye.